Hello and welcome to Nick's Nerd News. This is where you come to listen to breaking news when it comes to the nerd world. That means we have breaking video game news, movie news, and TV news. If you want to hear about the latest games, the latest movies, and everything else, stick around. Because here's your host, Nick, from a tiny studio in San Diego.
Well, hello everyone. It is me, your host, Nick. This is Nick's Nerd News. It is August 7th, episode 326. And you wonder, why am I being so serious? Because it's so damn hot I can't laugh. I can't even think of jokes. It's so hot. No, I kid. It's tolerable. Yeah. How are you guys doing? How are you guys doing this August? This heat wave is brutal. I don't have AC. I think I mentioned that in the past. So, it is just... It was hot a couple of weeks ago, but I don't know why. And today wasn't even that hot. It just, the heat has been lingering, I think. And the air is heavier. I think that's part of it. But I will survive. I will survive. Like the song. How you guys doing today? You excited? Summer's coming to an end for some people. Not for me, not for my work. I know a lot of kids are going back to school though, so there is that. But summer here in lovely San Diego lasts through September, really, temperature-wise. I mean, really, it stays warm through November, realistically. So it's not any ridiculousness, but it's nice. It stays nice. That's why people live here. We're not talking about nerd stuff. Let's get to the nerd stuff. Hey, guess what? We have a website. It's called nixnerdnews.com. We got everything related to the show on there. It's great. You can find links to all of the places you can subscribe to the show. YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. I think we are on iHeartRadio. I don't know why I say I think. We're on Amazon Music. I think we're on Audible. Several other places. We're all there. You can find links. You can subscribe. You can like. You can do a whole lot. Guess what? We also have a tab for social media. And that's where you can give us a follow on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, Threads, the whole shebang, and YouTube, because YouTube's two different things now. And guess what? We launched a new page on the website finally. It's my top 10s. Right now, it's just top 10 movies over the last few decades, the ones I started last year during the writers and actors strike. So you guys can go see there. There's a couple lists I have yet to do on the podcast. I don't know. I might be able to get to them today. Some of the lists I haven't gone down. So we're going to do that. Otherwise, I'm going to start a new project on YouTube, breaking down those lists in longer forms compared to what I was doing on TikTok back in the day, things like that. So check that out. That will be an evolving page. I think I'm eventually going to start turning that into a portal for like my top 10 shows and games, and then all the movies by decades. And then I'll start breaking it down by genre overall. I think it's going to be a real fun place for you guys to get a better idea of me and how I think and what makes me the nerd I am today. And I know it's been a long time coming, but it's going to be worth the wait. I really do think it's going to be worth the wait. Now, I won't break down on the site the reasons for the top 10s or anything like that, but at least it gives you an insight into my thinking. That's on the website, nixternews.com. Go check it out. Yeah, that's what's happening. So, how about the top stories this week, which are kind of wild? We're getting a new John Wick spinoff potentially that will focus on the high table, I think it was called in the movie, like the people that run the assassin world in that universe. If they get Ian McShane back, I'd be 100% on board. We are going to talk about WB Gaming and its implosion, and all because of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, which blew up in their faces more than I think anyone ever expected. And then we are also going to talk about the end of GameInformer. That is right, GameStop has essentially pulled the plug on GameInformer. So that's pretty nuts. Longest running video game magazine, and it's done. It's essentially donezo. So it'll be a wild thing to talk about. But instead of focusing on that, let's get to the news in full, shall we? All right, so the news, bit of it. So, how about this? Ubisoft has announced a new fantasy football game. I don't understand why they're deciding to jump into the ring of all places, because I'm pretty sure CBS, ESPN, NFL Network, and Yahoo have the lock on fantasy football, like long term. And then you got like DraftKings and all that on the dailies. So this is a new partnership with the NFL, but it's will allow you to make real-time decisions during live NFL game broadcasts, which is very interesting. It is a new mobile game in partnership with the NFL and the NFLPA. It will be developed by Ubisoft Saguenay. I don't think I said that right. NFL Primetime Fantasy will be a free-to-play game. It's a card-style game for both iOS and Android, and you'll be able to use they want you to make decisions, and it says, quote, call the shots during live NFL games, unquote. So it'll use card game mechanics and what you normally are used to in fantasy football leagues. If you play fantasy football, I do every year. I've been doing it for over a decade, but you don't usually get to make game time. You don't get to make decisions during the game. You have to you have to lock your rosters in before the game starts. But the NFL said, quote, this exciting collaboration with Ubisoft opens up fresh territory in the gaming world for the NFL. NFL Primetime Fantasy marks the first NFL licensed mobile game tied to our live games, driving fans closer to the sport than ever before. With this new addition to our expansive gaming portfolio, we demonstrate our dedication to offering non-traditional video gaming experiences for our fans, unquote. The best part about this is it will continue into the postseason. Most fantasy leagues tend to finish before the season even ends. But the one downside is it won't be ready in time for the start of the season in that first week of September, which is wild. But it's coming out in November. Definitely going to check it out. I like fantasy. I like the NFL. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully it doesn't cost money. I'm sure it will have some kind of gambling, quote-unquote, interaction in it. Xbox has announced they will have 3 days of live streams during Gamescom at the end of the month. I think the 21st through the 23rd. Gamescom takes place in Cologne, Germany. It is the largest gaming convention on the planet. I wonder what they're going to talk about. We've gotten some news about Bungie following the mass layoffs that happened last week. Jesus, it hasn't been that long, Nick. It hasn't been that long. But a former employee says the studio was going to be insolvent if they had not been purchased by Sony. What that means is Destiny, or the Destiny studio, Bungie, was heading for collapse without the influx of cash from Sony. But according to this, they misrepresented finances, overextended itself, and essentially overpromised and under-delivered when it boasted itself to Sony. Sony purchased them for $3.6 billion 2 years ago in 2022. In a new GameFile report, former workers published this news after the layoffs. But one source said, quote, well-connected former worker, unquote, is the one behind it, and saying that if Sony had not purchased Bungie, that it would have been, quote, alternate history is insolvency, unquote, which is very interesting for sure. I guess there's a lot of problems that have been going on at Bungie for quite some time, since I'm guessing they left Activision after the first Destiny game. And then we've learned that they're not even making Destiny 3 right away, which if I were Bungie, I would get Marathon out the door and not make a spin-off but go to Destiny 3. I know Bungie has a history of making great spin-offs. Look at Halo Reach and look at Halo ODST, right? But I don't know if there's a world for that with Destiny. So Bloomberg spoke to several former employees as well as current employees that they've asked for their identity to be hidden. And I'm guessing it was my boy Jason Schreier. Let's see. It was Jason Schreier. Dude has the scoops. I'll say that. But this is interesting. Destiny 2, of course, came out in 2017. They've been putting out content updates ever since. But they were apparently going to work on a new project called Payback. But they were going to focus on that before Destiny 3. That looks like that fell through. There were trouble at the top. Apparently, a lot of the layoffs included like directors and VPs at Bungie last week, which is pretty wild because you don't hear about that often. And they wanted to make spin-offs. Look, Bungie, I don't know what you guys are doing. Ever since you left Microsoft, it's been kind of downhill. And I know they didn't want to make Halo forever. I get that. And I'm sure Microsoft was going to maybe push them in that direction. So, I just, interesting for sure. I think the problems started back then. They continued on. They continued under Activision. The other problem was Destiny 2 was not great at launch. I mean, you had a great final expansion on the first game with Taken King, right? And then when Destiny 2 came out, it was kind of like, like they dropped the ball. Like it went backwards. It felt like 1.5 and not 2. The Taken King felt more like 2 than Destiny 2 did. So since then, they've had a lot of ups and downs, a lot of issues with players sticking around. Not all the DLC has been praised as great. I mean, the final shape, people loved. After the final shape, you should kind of see that as like an invigoration of the studio, and it wasn't. So it'll be interesting to see what happens to Bungie from here on out. So while this is not technically gaming related, it is a cousin, I guess, if you will, to the gaming world. Intel, which does make parts related to computing, and you need Intel for gaming. I mean, they do make great chips and chipsets and silicone and things like that. The silicone giant, the chip giant, has announced 15,000 layoffs. That just tells you how big Intel is. They can lay 15,000 people off, and it's a small percentage of their company. So, more than 15,000 jobs, because it's about 15% of their headcount, which is wild. That doesn't even compute, man. That makes no sense. That's how big Intel is. 15% of their company is 15,000 people. That means they employ like 100,000 people. That's insane. That is insane. More layoffs. Anyway, Until Dawn, the game, is getting a film adaptation. And we've learned that Peter Stormare, the great character actor, will be returning in the film to play the same character he plays in the game. This time he will be played Dr. Hill, who will be playing Dr. Hill again like he does in the games. He is a psychiatrist that appears throughout the original game, and we'll see, though, how it will affect his role in the film. He'll be joined by several other actors, and Peter Stormare. That's cool. I like Peter Stormare. In wild, sales news, obviously Elden Ring was going to be the best-selling game of June 2024, with the release of Shadow of the Erdtree and coming out last month and everything like that. But Kingdom Hearts Integrum Masterpiece, which released on Steam, allowed Kingdom Hearts to go from the 400th best-selling game to number 3. A Kingdom Hearts game in the top 3 of sales in June in 2024. That is crazy. This was the first time Elden Ring was at the top of the charts since its release in May of 2022. Obviously, it's due to the Shadow of the Erdtree, which, did that come out in June or July? I don't even remember. But Kingdom Hearts Integrum Masterpiece used to only be on Nintendo Switch via cloud. Then it released on Steam in June. And what it is, it's a collection of Kingdom Hearts HD 1.5 and 2.5 Remix, Kingdom Hearts HD 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue, and Kingdom Hearts 3 plus Remind DLC. Modern Warfare 3 was number 2. Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance was number 4. And look at that, Hogwarts Legacy still in the top 5. And the top 10 rounded up by Minecraft, MLB The Show, Luigi's Mansion 2, HD, EA Sports FC 24, Sea of Thieves. Pretty solid. Look at Sea of Thieves being in the top 10. Kingdom Hearts, though, man. Kingdom Hearts. One of our biggest stories, though, is the end of GameInformer. So GameInformer is the longest-running video game magazine. 33 years. Same age as me, funnily enough. I've read many, many issues. I used to read GameInformer regularly. GameStop, whatever their points program, I don't even remember what they call it now, GameStop Pro or whatever, which included a free membership. So I've had a lot. But GameStop has announced they will be closing, quote, closing immediately. They were all laid off and they would begin receiving severance terms, unquote. This is a GameStop representative telling that. So this is wild. Yeah, it said, quote, after 33 thrilling years of bringing you the latest news, reviews, and insights from the ever-evolving world of gaming, it is with a heavy heart that we announce the closure of GameInformer, unquote. That was on GameStop's Twitter. It said, quote, from the early days of pixelated adventures to today's immersive virtual realms, we've been honored to share this incredible journey with you, our loyal readers. While our presses may stop, the passion we have for gaming that we've cultivated together will continue to live on. Thank you for being part of our epic quest, and may your own gaming adventure never end, unquote. A lot of people said the statement sounded like AI. Again, I don't know. Kotaku reported that GameInformer staff were brought into an all-hands meeting on the 2nd. They were told that, quote, the publication was closing immediately. They were all laid off, and they would begin receiving severance terms, unquote. So, everything. They shut down the Twitter, all social media. They removed the backlog. They closed the website. Like, everything is gone. One of their video leads, Alex Van Aken, put on Twitter that people didn't even know what was happening yet. That a tweet went out before they even let everybody know. Like, this is it. Literally 33 years to the month. It started. It was founded in August '91. Wow, Funko Land. I forgot about that. I forgot about that store. Yeah. GameStop took over in 2000 when they bought Funko Land. Funko Land. Wow, that's bringing back memories, dude. But Game Informer's last issue was issue 367, and its cover story was about Dragon Age the Vile Guard. We don't know what 368 would have been, but it's a major, major loss for the gaming industry. The gaming press has been shrinking and shrinking and shrinking over the years. And obviously larger outlets are bringing on their own, but also at the same time getting rid of it. It doesn't make any sense. For an industry that makes more money than movies and television combined, and for it to not have a stable press is wild to me. Like, look, Hollywood has like 6 different newspapers and magazines all going strong. And you can't even have one magazine for gaming anymore, let alone websites. There's very few. A lot of them are independent and small still. But that's the end of Game Informer. THQ Nordic has teased a new Darksiders game. And they had a digital showcase that what essentially all they teased was said, quote, "Be prepared to write again," unquote. But we'll see what it's about. I thought we already got all 4 horsemen of the apocalypse in the different games. Maybe it will go back to telling the story of the 4 again. So the first game in 2010 starred war. 2012's Darksiders 2 featured death. 2018's Darksiders 3 you played Fury. And then Genesis, which was technically 4, you played Strife and War. Ooh, I don't know. It'll be interesting. I forgot there was that much of a gap between 3 and 2. Darksiders was always fun. Microsoft has announced that it will be delaying Avowed, their RPG from Obsidian, to next February. They claim it's not because the game needs to be delayed. It's more to get out of a busy fall season. Saying, quote, "Give players' backlogs some breathing room," unquote. They put this on Twitter. Their official tweet said, quote, "So many games coming. As such, we're moving Avowed to February 18th, 2025 to give some players' backlogs some breathing room. Stay tuned for more from our games across Activision, Blizzard, Bethesda, and Xbox Game Studios at Gamescom, including our August 23rd live stream for a look at Avowed," unquote. Then they put up an image of all their games coming in the fall, and it makes sense. They have World of Warcraft War Within on August 26th, Age of Mythology Retold on September 4th, Aura History Untold on September 24th, Diablo 4 Vessel of Hatred October 8th, Black Ops 6 October 25th, Flight Simulator on November 19th, and we're still expecting Indiana Jones and the Great Circle and Starfield Shattered Space expansion sometime this year, as well as Towerborn. And Avowed was supposed to come out in October. I think it would have got lost in the sauce. So now Avowed moves to February. South of Midnight, Doom the Dark Ages, Fable, all expected to release sometime next year. So that's crazy. I think that's good for Avowed. They said the game's finished. They just want to get out of a crowded fall. I don't see a problem with that. The fall tends to be overcrowded when it comes to gaming sometimes. Ubisoft has finally revealed their roadmap for Star Wars Outlaws and its upcoming DLC that they already pre-announced. Its expansion packs. And the game releases August 30th. And we've learned that the Story Pack 1 will be called Star Wars Outlaws Wildcard, and Story Pack 2 will be called A Pirate's Fortune. So Day 1 will add Sabak pirates and a new mission. Season Pass, more. But different release windows. Launch day, Season Pass owners will gain access to a character pack and the Jabba's Gambit exclusive mission. Season Pass, like I said, which a lot of controversy was around. Ubisoft's been doing this forever at this point. I don't know. But the 2 DLC story expansions, the first will be released later this fall, the second in spring 2025. Wild Card, the first story pack, you'll see your protagonist Kay, quote, hired to infiltrate high-stakes Sabacc tournament, unquote. It will also bring in Lando Calrissian. So remember, this game takes place between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. The second story DLC will be called A Pirate's Fortune, and you will be running into Hondo Ohnaka, the famous Weequay pirate voiced by Jim Cummings. This will be the first time I think we've seen Hondo in the original trilogy timeline. I don't think we've seen Hondo yet at that point. They said, quote, looking to settle old scores with a ruthless gang of pirates, unquote. That'll be interesting. I am excited to see Hondo Ohnaka. Hondo is one of my favorite characters from the Clone Wars. We'll see how that plays out. High on Life, the Squanch games, originally starring Justin Roiland, may be getting an animated spin-off starring J.B. Smoove, of all people. He is in the game. I'm pretty sure he's one of the guns. But, yeah. So, Deadline is reporting that J.B. Smoove will produce the project via his Alternate Side Productions banner. He did play Gus, one of the guns in the game. He's not officially part of the cast, though. That's weird. I'm excited to see where this goes. I liked it. It was kind of fun. We'll see how they can adapt it into a television show, though, especially without Justin Roiland. Ahead of the Black Ops 6 Zombies reveal, which I think is expected for tomorrow, the Warzone map for the game has leaked, and fans are not exactly happy. Apparently the map is very water-focused, which I think they're implementing more of that into Black Ops 6, so I can see why. But the map, which is apparently called Avalon, is a archipelago-based map, so it's a group of islands with a lot of water in between. It was already leaked online. The map was. I don't know if it's still available to view. I personally, I think that could be fun for Warzone. People are mad, like, quit forcing water on us. But if the swimming mechanics and boat mechanics are good, then I don't see an issue. That's just me. We'll see, though, when the game launches later this year for like 8,100,000 gigs. Balatro, which is a beloved card game on Steam and things like that. It's a deck-building poker game. The creator of it has taken some legal steps to make sure it's never purchased by a casino. It is a roguelike game that essentially gets you to try to earn an ever-increasing number of chips by playing Joker-enhanced cards. But, wow. When the creator made his will recently, he put a stipulation in it that the Balatro IP may never be sold or licensed to any gambling company or casino. That's wild. Even though it's a card game and is on poker. Like, wow, the dude doesn't condone gambling, but makes, whatever. A Quiet Place is getting a game tie-in called A Quiet Place: The Road Ahead. It will launch in October, and it will be, I don't know if it will be on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, PC, and more when it launches on the 17th. PlayStation so far is the only one to confirm the date. We don't know if any other platforms have confirmed that date as well. Star Wars Jedi Survivor is finally coming to last gen, despite after being delayed numerous times. It will finally release this September on Xbox One and PlayStation 4. September 17th. Wow, it's almost 2 years. Almost 2 years it was delayed. It will retail for $49.99, and it will feature optimization, maximizing the previous generation hardware. A PC version update will be launching as well. But yeah, the game came out April of 2023, and then the last gen was delayed. Now we finally have a release date. Fallout is getting a new action figure collection. The new T60 Power Armor action figure and a collection of Power Armor to be released. They've partnered, but Bethesda has partnered with Mega to announce, or Mega, like Mega Bloks? Oh, Mega Bloks. Sorry, gag. Mega Bloks is just not for me, man. But that makes sense. Microsoft already has a partnership with Mega as they make Halo-related Mega Bloks building sets. There's a new buildable power armor set, and they will have 5 of them, 5 different possible T60 power armor figures to display with different paint jobs, things like that. Oh, they're not that big. I thought they were bigger. They're kind of small. And yeah, you can pre-order that on Amazon. I don't like Mega Bloks. I do not like them at all. Their quality is inferior compared to Lego. Oh, they're like little, they're essentially minifigure size, maybe a little bigger, like Lego minifigures. But the co-founder of Arcane Studios, which was recently closed, has announced that he is developing a new game that if you were a big fan of Prey or Dishonored, you're going to like his next game. He is now the co-founder and president of Wolfeye Studios. Rafael Colantonio, that the next game that they make will make you happy if you were fans, like I said, of Dishonored and Prey. He left Arcane in 2017. Said that they'll reveal more in a few days. I'm guessing at Gamescom. So if you're looking out for that, go on that. PS5 sales are down. No surprise there. Sony has announced that it still has sold 61.7 million units overall since its launch in 2020. They are down year over year this year. They only sold... they went from 3.3 million units sold in the first quarter of this year to 2.4 million units sold in the first quarter. 3.3 sold in the first quarter of last year to 2.4 million units sold in the first quarter of this year. That's from April to June of 2024, the financial year. But again, not unexpected. Console sales do decline year over year over year, especially since we're 4 years in. Most people are not adopting at the same rate. Ryan McCaffrey of IGN made a good point. It's like, hey, you're running out of people to sell a $500 console to. Maybe it's time for a price drop. I would not disagree. Disagree. Meta has announced that they will be shutting down Ready at Dawn, the studio they purchased several years ago that developed the games The Order 1886 and some others. They've been around for 20 years, and that's crazy. They used to work on God of War and Jak and Daxter. That's pretty sad that Meta is closing them. But this is part of the reason that when they discontinued the Echo VR last year, major layoffs and things like that. But Ready at Dawn was a great developer. Pretty sad. Major change-ups in the industry this year. It just sucks, man. Oculus originally purchased them in 2021, and then when Meta bought Oculus, obviously. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 studios that have closed this year alone. That's crazy, man. But now we get to our other major story, and that's all in relation to Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League and how it's destroyed WB Gaming. Warner Brothers Discovery reported today game revenue hit with a 41% year-over-year drop. Obviously, after the success of Hogwarts Legacy last year, then came the dumpster fire that was Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Yeah. Hogwarts Legacy, one of the top-selling games of last year. Obviously, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League could have hit those highs if it was good, but it wasn't. It was garbage. People hated it. It just was broken. It got delayed so many times. That's, granted, Warner Brothers has been just hurting overall in general as it continues to struggle. But, yeah, Warner Brothers they've already talked about like splitting up already, selling off assets. A company reported revenue of $9.7 billion, but a net loss of $10 billion. 9.1 of that was due to impairment charges. Whatever the fuck that means. They might lose the NBA, like TNT might lose the NBA. That's crazy, man. And now we've learned they might start to license off the franchises. Batman, Harry Potter, other things like that is wild. Why would you own those franchises if, for games at least? Okay, that makes more sense. As long as it's not like movies or anything like that. Obviously, WB Gaming is a host of studios. Are they up for sale? I don't know. This isn't the first time. There were rumors of WB Games or WB Interactive and their portfolio going up for sale a few years ago. But now they may whore out their franchises. On a Warner Brothers Discovery Q2 earnings call, CEO David Zaslav said, quote, strategic value of games to Warner Brothers given recent uneven performance, unquote, after the 41% drop. But they're going to leverage their studios and, quote, also a lot of interest among others in coming to take advantage of some of that IP for gaming, which we're looking at, unquote. So essentially that means a studio owned by Microsoft or a studio owned by Activision or PlayStation or EA or something like that can come in and make a game. It doesn't necessarily have to be a studio owned by Warner Brothers. Does that mean a Mortal Kombat game? No, obviously not. NetherRealm's always going to make Mortal Kombat. But does that mean 343 could make a Batman game? Potentially. Insomniac could make a Game of Thrones game. Yes, potentially. So these are things that we don't know could happen, but it's on the table now. So we'll see. Is there a game that you guys would want to see made of a Warner Brothers IP, but not one of the Warner Brothers studios? Let me know. We'll talk about it. Anyway, that is it for gaming news. Not a whole lot, but big stories, a lot to talk about. Let's head on up the 5 freeway, see what's going on in Hollywood, shall we? All right. Hollywood. Well, Jamie Lee Curtis, star of the upcoming Borderlands movie that drops on Friday, has issued an apology to Marvel after previously insulting them and slamming them But I guess so she issued a public apology after recent comments about Marvel. She said, because she's a big nerd, right? I don't think people realize that. But while promoting Borderlands, she said that at Comic-Con, Josh Horowitz, who hosts the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast, was asking celebrities what phase that was Marvel in. Jamie Lee Curtis said, quote, bad. That's pretty funny. She then, after though, she obviously wants to be in a Marvel movie. She issued an apology saying, quote, my comments about Marvel were stupid and I will do better. I've reached out to Kevin Feige and will no longer play in that mudslinging sandbox of competition we call the internet, nor will I engage in the toilet paper promotion or gameplay that is designed for clicks, not content or conversation, unquote. Good on you, Jamie Lee. I like that. I like that at all. Hopefully we get you in a Marvel movie soon. Ryan Reynolds, of course, hopped in on the fun saying, quote, on Twitter, quote, wait, is everyone expected to apologize for slamming Marvel post-Endgame, unquote? So, obviously, she wants to be in the MCU. Jeremy Renner, who almost died in a snowplow accident, has recovered almost miraculously. The man is just a fucking beast. Says that he was talking to US Weekly and said, quote, really excited, unquote, about Doomsday, Avengers Doomsday, saying, quote, the Avengers movies have always been fan favorites and there's so many wonderful characters in them. It's going to be challenging to get everybody together. They're going to probably have to piece it together, like week by week kind of thing, just people's schedules. It's a lot of people, but I'm excited about it. I think we'll probably be doing it. We'll have fun to figure it out. It's all brand new. It's all just happened. They just made an announcement, unquote. He's hinting at he's going to be in it. Then followed up with about said announcement, said, quote, I had no idea. This son of a bitch didn't say anything to me and we're good friends. We have an Avenger family chat right now, right? The original 6, and he said not a peep. So I got online and I started blowing up his phone like, what's going on? You hiding this from us all along? It's exciting news, man, unquote. So he seems to be happy that RDJ, Robert Downey Jr., is returning, but not as Tony Stark. Inside Out has hit another massive milestone at the box office. Now, last week, it became the highest-grossing animated film of all time. It has passed The Avengers to become the 10th highest-grossing movie of all time, passing the first Avengers movie at $1.521 billion at the box office, as it now is more than $1.523.9 billion as of last Wednesday. So that was a week ago. It's probably even more now. It also passed Furious 7's $1.515 billion, and it just came out in Japan last week, so those numbers will only go higher. They're so back. Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter will be teaming up on a new project, and unfortunately it's not Bill and Ted 4. They are going to be joining each other in a Broadway production of the long-running play Waiting for Godot, famously also played by Sir Ian McKellen and Sir Patrick Stewart, which it'll be interesting to see younger men play the characters. That will be interesting. There was a film adaptation that starred Ethan Hawke and Wallace Shawn and John Leguizamo that came out in 2021, but I'm sure it will be good. Those two have a great rapport with each other, so I fully expect them that to play well. HBO, hot off the heels of the Season 2 finale of House of the Dragon, released a trailer for their next Game of Thrones spinoff. This show will be called A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, and it takes place between House of the Dragon and Game of Thrones. It will focus on the story of Sir Duncan the Tall and Aegon the Fifth, Duncan Egg, as they're called in some of the Game of Thrones books series. And it showed off Sir Duncan the Tall in the show. Again, it will be a prequel. It takes place about 100 years before Game of Thrones and 100 years after House of the Dragon, give or take. The official synopsis says, quote, "A century before the events of Game of Thrones, two unlikely heroes wandered Westeros. A young, naive, but courageous knight, Sir Duncan the Tall, and his diminutive squire, Egg. Set in an age when the Targaryen line still holds the Iron Throne, and the memory of the last dragon has not yet passed from living memory, great destinies, powerful foes, and dangerous exploits all await these improbable and incomparable friends," unquote. So yes, there's no dragons in this show, but these are from George R. R. Martin's The Tales of Duncan Egg novellas, The Hedge Knight, The Sworn Sword, and Mystery Knight. They're hoping for a 3-season run. It will arrive on Max and HBO next year, so that way it will hold us over before season 3 of House of the Dragon. Interesting, we're jumping timelines here. A movie about the fall of Gawker Media and their lawsuit with Hulk Hogan may be in the works, with Ben Affleck cast as Hulk Hogan potentially. So, Artist Equity, the studio owned by Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, is looking to develop the movie. It was essentially Hulk Hogan's lawsuit against Gawker Media after they published videos of him that I think it ended his marriage. I don't remember properly. Variety is reporting that the film is already underway, and they bought the screenplay by Charles Randolph, and it is already in active development under the name Killing Gawker. It will be directed by Good Will Hunting's director Gus Van Sant. Damn, has Gus done anything recently? But it's based on the book Conspiracy, Peter Thiel, Hulk Hogan, Gawker, and the Anatomy of Intrigue by Ryan Holiday. Like I said, those are the major players in it. But Ben Affleck is looking to play Hogan. We don't know if Matt Damon will be in it. But essentially what happened is Gawker published a sex tape featuring Hulk Hogan. And then he quickly sued them. Peter Thiel backed the lawsuit, led to the wrestler winning a total of $140 million from Gawker in 2016. Gawker filed for bankruptcy shortly after, and it's wow. Gawker, the website itself, has been gone for some years. I guess they tried bringing it back in 2023, but they didn't. Obviously, everything left from Gawker Media was shuffled into the wind. I mean, recently Gizmodo was just sold again. So Gizmodo is now separate from like Deadspin, Kotaku, and all that. A lot of the other cool sites on there that I used to like are gone. So I know it's tantamount to a blog, but I love Jalopnik still. Kotaku's mostly okay. They do own The Onion, but it was Gizmodo Media then for a while after Gawk. So many changes have happened over there, all because they decided to share a sex tape. And of course, the Hulk made out handsomely. It'll be an interesting movie. I wonder if he'll try suing them over it too. David Lynch has announced he can no longer direct in person following a new health diagnosis. But in an interview with Sight and Sound, he has emphysema, which was due to his long-term smoking, and he will no longer be able to go out of his home because of health concerns with COVID and things like that. He is now immunocompromised, essentially. He said, quote, "I've gotten emphysema from smoking for so long, and I'm so homebound whether I like it or not. It would be very bad for me to get sick, even with a cold. If it comes to it, he would have to direct remotely." Talked about his smoking, how he loved it, but obviously it led to this. Thoughts and stuff go to David Lynch. Man is practically a genius. One of our top stories, we talked about at the top of the hour, John Wick is getting a spin-off, new spin-off show, this time set after John Wick 4. It would focus on what they're saying is the high table and will be developed by Lionsgate Television, has yet to find a home network. The log line for the show says, quote, John Wick has left the world of the high table in a tenuous position, and a collection of new characters will look to make a name for themselves, while some of the franchise stalwart characters remain committed to the old world order. The series will combine new and old and thrust the Wick universe into a new age. Unquote. Keanu Reeves is producing. Robert Levine will serve as writer and showrunner. Chad Stahelski will also be involved as a producer. He oversees the franchise as a whole after Lionsgate promoted him. But we do know John Wick 5 is in production. But this show will be called John Wick Under the High Table. As long as Ian McShane is back, this show can be good. And if they get Lawrence Fishburne, it can be good. There are plenty of people... that can make this show good. What's going on with that ballerina movie, though? We'll see. We'll see what happens. A new vinyl release of all the Indiana Jones soundtracks have been released. There is a set that includes all of them that will cost you $300. Or you can get each individual film by themselves for $30. The original soundtrack. Why do they say OST? Isn't it original soundtrack? I think that's what that sounds for. The score. Anyway, I would love to own some John Williams on vinyl, but I'd prefer it to be Star Wars. Disney Plus. Got some news, folks. Got some news about Disney Plus. And it might not all be good. First off, the price is increasing yet again. So, this is the fourth increase in 5 years since it launched. It first came out for $6.99. You guys remember that? I don't. I always had the bundle. New subscribers will now have to pay $15.99 a month for the service's ad-free tier. That's more than double what it was back in 2019. But that's crazy. Hulu will see its ad-free tier jump from $17.99 to $18.99. ESPN Plus will go from $10.99 to $11.99. And then ad-supported versions of all the services will get a price increase by $2. They are still trying to push people towards the bundle, which offers ad tiers of Disney Plus and Hulu for $10.99 a month. And also there is that new Disney, Hulu, and Max bundle for $16.99 a month, which is $29.99 a month for ad-free version. What the fuck? The price will go into effect on October 17th. What if you have like the Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN bundle? What's going on with that bundle that I have? Am I locked in at that rate? Because that would be great. Yeah. Then we've learned that Disney Plus is profitable for the first time last quarter. Reported by The Verge, in Disney's financial results, streaming businesses made $47 million in the third quarter, which is huge considering they reported a $512 million loss for the streaming business. But CEO Bob Iger said, quote, "This was a strong quarter for Disney, driven by excellent results in our entertainment segment, both at the box office and in DTC, as we achieved profitability across our combined streaming businesses for the first time and a quarter ahead of our previous guidance," unquote. It has yet to make, it's the first time it made a profit since 2019. That's cool. Finally. But then we also learned that the password crackdown is expected to begin sometime in September. CEO Bob Iger suggested during the latest financial earnings call, saying, quote, "We've been talking a lot about adding the technology features that we need to basically make it a higher return, higher margin business, and a more successful business, and we're doing that right now," unquote. He also said, quote, "We started our password sharing initiative in June. That kicks in earnest in September. By the way, we've had no backlash at all to the notifications that have gone out and to the work that we've already been doing," unquote. I think people are either just straight up canceling or just accepting the fact they can't share their subscriptions anymore. A new Stranger Things play will be coming to the U.S. if you want to see a Stranger Things stage show. And then Steve Martin has announced that he has turned down the opportunity to play the newly announced vice presidential, the Democratic vice presidential nominee, Tim Waltz. He was asked by Saturday Night Live's Lorne Michaels, and he essentially said, quote, "I wanted to say no, and by the way, he wanted me to say no. I said, Lorne, I'm not an impressionist. You need someone who can really nail the guy. I was picked because I have gray hair and glasses," unquote. Props, Steve. I get it, man. You know your wheelhouse, and you don't want to struggle, and you don't want to mess it up, and you know what? That's fine. Maya Rudolph will be fine again as Kamala Harris. I can't wait to see who they pick for J.D. Vance. I think they're going to use the guy that's part of the cast still for Trump. Just we'll see what happens eventually for Saturday Night Live with Waltz. I do want to talk about House of the Dragon and Deadpool a bit. So House of the Dragon just ended, season 2 at least. We did learn that it will be getting a 4th season, and it will end with season 4, which is good. That's what George R. R. Martin kind of predicted. Still on track for at least 4 seasons, according to showrunner Ryan Condal. He said in a press conference. That's cool. He said, quote, "No, I think it's 4, unquote." But George R. R. Martin had said to do it justice, you would need 4 seasons of at least 10 episodes each. So it looks like while maybe we won't necessarily get 10 episodes each, we will get 4 seasons to truly tell the Dance of Dragons, the Targaryen Civil War. I know that there were a lot of cameos. There's like a scene in which Daemon sees the future, which kind of gets him to get on Rhaenyra's side again. And we essentially see Daenerys, not her face, but from behind, and her dragons. So that works. It's very different from the books, from my understanding, what I've seen online. And people are wondering how it will play out, how the rest of the show will play out, because of already how different it is. Hell, there was a scene in the finale that wasn't in the books with Alicent and Rhaenyra, and some of the story surrounding Aegon and Aemond and Helena and different characters and where they are and where they take place. The dragon seeds. There's a whole character missing, but the dragon that character rides is there. If you guys watch the finale, there's a change in where Otto Hightower is. A lot of people are wondering how it will end. And then a lot of people are upset with how season 2 ended, because it was to some people it was very lackluster because it wasn't action filled. I'm okay with that. It's a huge setup for season 3, which is bold of them to do before we even knew a season 3 was coming. But I think they knew a season 3 was coming before we knew a season 3 was coming, because how can you end like that? Luckily, they're going to go into production early next year for season 3. But showrunner Ryan Condal is defending not doing the Battle of the Gullet as the final episode, which would have been a major, major loss for the Blacks. he did say that the Battle of the Gullet is coming, and he said it will be huge. During a virtual Q&A with press on Monday, Condell was asked about it, and he said, quote, "I mean, one of the challenges of making television at any scale, even this scale, which seems to be one of infinite time and resources, it's just never the case. Nobody has infinite time and resources. As a showrunner, you're always in the position of having to balance storytelling and the resources you have available to tell that story, and you're also starting to think about, and one of the things that came into play in Season 2 is, what is the final destination of this series, and where are we going? And I think it was a combination of the factors that led us to rebalance the story, knowing where we're going and where the endpoint is, to rebalance the story in such a way that we had 3 great seasons of television to round out and tell this story. It takes a tremendous amount of resources, and the Battle of the Gullet, trying to give it the time and the space that it deserves. And obviously, as anyone who has seen the finale knows, we are building to that. That event will happen very shortly in terms of storytelling in House of the Dragon, and it should be, based on what we know now, it should be the biggest thing to date that we've pulled off. And we just wanted to have the time and space to do that at a level that is going to excite and satisfy the fans in the way it deserves. And we also wanted to build some anticipation towards it. The show is so complex that we're really making multiple films every season, so I apologize for the wait. But I will just say, if Rook's Rest and the Red Sowing are any indication, the team that we have together, we're going to pull off a hell of a win with the Battle of the Gullet in the future, unquote. That is crazy. That is crazy. He essentially says, hey, we want to do that battle justice. It's going to cost a fuck ton of money and require a lot of time and effort. Y'all need to be patient and wait. We already had a dragon-filled Season 2. You want a big, massive sea battle, you gotta wait. I guarantee Battle of the Gullet will either be the first episode of Season 3 or the second episode of Season 3. Because in the finale, they essentially lead up to... The Battle of the Gullet is essentially on our doorstep. As the Triarchy is sailing west towards King's Landing and the Gullet, northwest from where they are in the stepstones and stuff in Essos, and with Lord Corlys and his ships sailing southeast from Driftmark. Or southwest from Driftmark. Anyway, they're going to the Gullet. It's going to happen. It'll be very early in Season 3. I can almost guarantee that. And I'm not involved in production. Now I want to talk about Deadpool and Wolverine, which is now been out for 2 weeks. And I think we can talk about cameos, if you ask me. It's long enough. Spoilers. If you guys don't want to hear, go away now, right? We're just going to talk about spoilers for Deadpool and Wolverine for the last whatever of the show. So, first off, let's talk about that Chris Evans cameo as Johnny fucking Storm from Fantastic Four. Not Captain America. Johnny Storm. Johnny Storm is in Deadpool and Wolverine. And he obviously all the stars are posting about it on their social media as well, so it'd be hard pressed to miss all that. But we learned that they essentially, Ryan Reynolds and them, they just straight up asked the people if they wanted to be in the movie as their characters. Chris Evans, though, said on his Instagram story, quote, "Thank you to Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman, and Sean Levy for letting me be a part of such an incredible movie. They're 3 of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. Especially thank you to Ryan for making it all happen. Playing Johnny again was a dream come true, and he'll always have a special place in my heart." Oh, unquote. Oh, that's so sweet. Obviously, Wesley Snipes is back as Blade, because some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill. First off, Wesley was fucking great as Blade again. Even makes a joke. There's only ever been one Blade and only will be one Blade. And they cut to Deadpool making a face like a wink without a wink. But now, because of that, Wesley Snipes has now earned the Guinness World Record for the longest career as a live-action Marvel character, beating out Hugh Jackman. Previously held by Patrick Stewart, who played Professor X from 2000 to X-Men to 2022's Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Wesley Snipes now holds it over Hugh Jackman. So while Hugh Jackman's Wolverine also debuted in X-Men and now beats Stewart by being in Deadpool and Wolverine, Snipes first played Blade in 1998. That's right. So 25 years, 340 days, compared to Jackman's 23 years and 344 days, and Stewart's 21 years and 296 days. Snipes now also has the record for longest gap between character appearances in Marvel films, having gone almost 2 decades, 19 years and 231 days, which is between 2004's Blade Trinity and Deadpool and Wolverine, which is nuts. We also got Channing Tatum's Gambit, which, seeing that headgear in live action is fucking horrible, but his Creole or Cajun accent was amazing, and that meme is already everywhere. I'm happy Channing finally got to play Gambit after his movie failed to ever come out. Sean Levy even said that he was in talks to possibly direct that Gambit movie. Obviously, Daphne Keane back as Laura, or X-23, was in the trailers. What was not fully in the trailers was Jennifer Garner back as Elektra, which was also fun to see. She still kicks ass. And then all the different Deadpools. The Deadpool, what do they call it? You have Nice Pool. Matthew McConaughey was Cowboy Pool. Blake Lively was Lady Deadpool, Lady Deadpool, that's right. Nathan Fillion was Headpool. There were a lot of Deadpools. Now, obviously that's fun. And it's funny that they just straight up asked those people, like, hey, you want to be in it? Ryan Reynolds wants Wesley Snipes to get like a Logan-style send-off for Blade. I don't think that's ever going to happen, unfortunately. And then, of course, we come to the elephant in the room, Taylor Swift. Sean Levy said that, quote, was one of the loudest rumors that came out of nowhere, unquote. So, speaking with Variety, he said, quote, it was never true. Thank you, Internet, for building such a smokescreen of rumors and half-truths so that no one ever knew what was going to happen, unquote. So the main reason people thought Taylor Swift was going to be in it was because Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman, and Blake Lively were all in the, what are those called? The luxury box at a Jets-Chiefs game at MetLife Stadium in New York City, or it's in the Meadowlands in New Jersey, excuse me. They were there for the Chiefs game because Taylor Swift is friends with Brittany Mahomes, the wife of Patrick Mahomes, the quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs, and Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively are friends with Taylor Swift, and because they were currently filming Deadpool and Wolverine, Sean Levy and Hugh Jackman were with Ryan, and they were all there in the luxury box watching the football game, so people just assumed that Taylor was going to be in the movie as Dazzler. Obviously, that wasn't true. But I like how Sean Levy was like, hell yeah, provided smokescreen for us. It was great. But sorry to burst any of you Swifties' bubbles. Taylor is not in Deadpool and Wolverine. I'm going to go see it again this weekend. Hopefully I can remember some of the great one-liner jokes from it. But yeah, that is it. There's a lot more stuff coming from Ryan Reynolds and Sean Levy about Deadpool and Wolverine if you guys want to go check it out. I'm not going to regurgitate everything. But that is it for Nick's Nerd News. Thank you guys for listening week in, week out. It is episode 326. It is August 7th. Don't forget to check out nicksnerdnews.com in our new top 10 section. And I'll catch you guys on the flip side.
This has been a production of Nick's Nerd News. Please do not use without implicit faxed permission. And yes, that means with a fax machine. Thank you.